Good morning, children. This is Grandma Carla, and we're reading more of the stories of the Pilgrims. I'm going to try to keep a story coming every day all through the month of November so that we can be ready for Thanksgiving and really know what it was that the Pilgrims came here for. And this is for conscience sake. Up in the loft of the large barn, John Robinson was teaching his people. He held his Bible in his hand, but he could not see to read it, for only the pale moon lighted the loft. They knew many chapters of the Bible, however, and repeated one softly. Suddenly they heard voices outside. "I saw 2 men go into this barn," said one soldier. "And I saw a woman and 2 children," said another. "I believe they are meeting for worship. Let us find out. Come, men." Up in the loft, people heard and trembled. The men tried to hide the women and the children in safe places, and then turned to face the soldiers. Up the old stairs they came. "We have found you at last," they cried. "Come with us." So the men were taken away to prison, and their families returned to their lonely homes. After a few weeks, the prisoners were set free, but still they would not attend the king's church. Many times they were put in prison. Some of their homes were burned. They were very, very unhappy. One day, the men of the little church met to talk about their troubles and plan some way to help matters. "It will never be safe to worship God as the Bible requires around here. Even now, 3 of our friends are in prison, and the rest of us may be there by night," said one. "I fear we must leave England," said their pastor. "Yet I do not know where we could go to be free. We should be in great danger, in just as great a danger in many other countries." "You know I spent several years in Holland when I was a young man," said Elder Brewster. "There everyone is free to worship as he likes, and so many people come from France and Spain and England. The Dutch are glad to have honest people from any land make homes in their country." Then he told them about the fine godly schools in Holland where they could send their children, and about the fishing fleets and the beautiful cities and the great silk and woolen mills where they could all find work. Holland was not very far from England, so it would not cost so much to go there as to some other places. After thinking about it for some time, it was decided that all who could would go to Holland in the autumn. All summer they quietly planned how to leave England. They dared not speak of it openly for fear the king's men might hear and put them in prison again. King James was not willing to permit them to find homes in another country. When autumn came, the crops had been gathered and sold. The men had sold their horses and cattle, their homes, and nearly all of their furniture. Their clothing and a few other things were packed in boxes, and at last they were ready to start their journey. It made them very sad to leave England. They loved their country. They loved their green fields and pleasant village, and the homes where they had once been so happy. "We are pilgrims now," they said, "and we will wander on until we find a home where we can serve and worship God freely." And here's the picture of the preacher in the barn. And the soldiers came and took the men away. So let's listen to our questions. When the soldiers found the people worshiping in the barn, what did they do to the men? What happened to some of their homes? What did the men decide they must do to be free to worship God according to the Bible? List 3 of the reasons Holland was thought to be a good country in which to move. At what time of the year did the people sadly leave England? So a lot of sacrifice went in. These people did not have the freedoms that we do to worship God as we choose, as we feel He's telling us to worship. They had to worship King James' way, and that was not what they felt was right. So they had to move. The next time we read, it will be about pilgrims. This is Grandma Carla, and I hope you're enjoying these stories as much as I am. God bless. Have a good day.